what keeps me going, a major piece that keeps me going, I'm on a mission. I want, and it's not even about me anymore. I don't know how much longer. Let's say I got 10 years left, and it's whatever. I want to see the next generation not have to fight so hard to have a voice in this arena. It's a shame. It is a shame. And man, listen, there's a lot.
Well, how long we got you
for, man? Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you say the next generation, are you talking about the next generation of black men or like the next generation of young people? What do you mean?
I think the next generation of people of color.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no excuse for there to be no representation, pretty much for the most part, in sports media here in Boston. Boston, one of the biggest cities for sports.
Yeah.
We have something to say. We have different perspectives. We from the city. We root for the same teams.
Yeah.
We approach things differently. Right. And so why isn't there more? It shouldn't be just one person. Mm-hmm. Or you know what I mean? Like, there's too many of us who have something to say.
Are you one of the only black guys on 98.5, right?
I'm the only one.
Besides
no.
Gasper, right?
No. Gasper. Yes.
Gasper.
Oh, yeah.
You and
Gasper's on. Yeah, with Falcon Maz on Fridays.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
Yeah.
Like, there's only 2 black men on 98.5 Sports Hub, which is the biggest, sports radio station in Boston.
Right. I give them credit because now there's an attempt.
Yeah.
But I think overall, whether it be radio, TV, whatever, it's just like, there's no excuse for it. And the excuses that I've heard, it's shameful. I've heard stuff from.
No, they're bullshit. I'm sure. I believe it.
I've heard stuff from recently, within maybe the last 2 years. I asked a producer in the city. I ain't gonna say who. I asked a producer. I asked a producer in the city because I was curious to see what they thought. I said, "Yeah, you think Boston is ready for a all-black show in sports?"
Yeah.
And their reply was yes. And I said, "Well, so then how come you don't think it's happened?" And they said, basically because there isn't anyone of color who is prepared to do it.
Well,
and I was
they need
like,
to watch Pro Fan Sports.
This is it.
Well, and then
they need to watch our podcast, man. Sure,
and the reason why I'm not putting them out there because I use that time to have a conversation with them and correct them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, like you're bugging. If you think there aren't people who are out here passionate about this and working at their craft every single day and can do what's being heard and what's being seen throughout the city, it's just that's a lazy excuse. And on top of that, I've noticed, and again, I'm thankful for the opportunity at 98.5. And when I'm talking about media, I'm talking about throughout the years, over 10 years, probably going on 15 years. We all know this. The standards are different. So like, I'll get emails and stuff if, let's say, if I mess up on the pronunciation of someone's name by accident. It can happen one time the entire year. I don't know, you might need to this, and it's like, here comes the high scrutiny where I can hear somebody who's on daily mess up and nobody says nothing.
Facts.
And there's no issue.
Facts.
So
Falcon Maz do it all the time.
All the time.
Shows do it every single show, every single time.
So it's like when you see examples of that, I think what needs to happen now is just you got just speaking up. So when that producer said to me, there's nobody. Basically, it was like, yo, there's nobody. They haven't seen or come into anybody who has the skill level to do it. I was like, you crazy. Like that, that's lazy talk. And man, the other thing that's crazy, and I would say this to you guys because I learned this early. You're gonna hear that what you're doing. You might hear stuff like, "Hey, you might want to change this or tone this down a little bit." Blah, blah, blah. Yo, it's crazy that happens because what ends up happening is the same thing they tell you that needs to be changed. Somehow later on down the line, you start seeing and hearing the same thing you were saying and how you were doing things. And you're like, hold up. Oh, so now it's acceptable?
Yeah.
And what I learned is that a lot of people in media, they're not hip and they don't know what's going on. And they're waiting for it to catch on before they accept it. So you can be early with it. You can know the pulse of what's going on in and around the way in the culture. You have the pulse, you know it. And so when you introduce it, because it's unfamiliar, people look at you like, like what is this? What is all this going on? But then all of a sudden, how many times have you watched a game on TV and you hear an announcer say something that the culture done been done with like 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
all the time.
So many times. Multiple times. Right.
I swear I heard somebody say, I was watching the game and they was like, yo, it's lit in here. And I'm like, yo, for real? For real?
Fuck? What?
For real? I'm like, really? But y'all know what I'm saying because y'all watch games.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird to go to Fenway. It's weird to go to Fenway Park, and when batters go up to bat, it's hip hop music being played, and yet you look around and it's just like, yo, there's nobody there. We're not there. We're not there. We're not even talking about it. Right.
Doesn't add up.
It don't add up.
And then we were talking about, black folks in the media, especially Boston media. I think this is why, we started Pro Fan Sports and, we've been consistent with it. We're trying to crack in the game. Any advice you got, for guys like us trying to, make noise out here in the Boston sports industry and the media out here?
I think you're doing a lot of it right now. One of the things you said is just staying consistent. Don't worry about how many views, how many likes, don't worry about none of that stuff. It's about being consistent and putting in those hours so that this becomes second nature to you. You know what I mean? And that it comes off natural, where it's just you talking. It doesn't come off. One thing I can't stand the whole radio voice sound and stuff that you still hear some people do. I'm like, yo, that's not real. Everybody wants real. I think you guys are doing that. Also, just having an opinion and having facts to back it up and sticking to your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, yo, this is how I feel and here's why. Because that's hard to beat when you got a why. You know what I mean? And just studying, being informed, and when you do your shows, and you may already be doing this, but just having it structured and formatted out the way you go. You know what I mean? Talk about your show before you do it. Have meetings about what you liked and didn't like. Listen to your shows and critique yourself and let other people critique you too and give you input and, work on your craft. Just like anything, just constantly working on your craft and being comfortable in it. And don't let, as brothers, we're brothers, and don't let nobody tell you that you can't do it. And don't let anybody make you feel like what you have to offer isn't acceptable and isn't wanted in this region or anywhere in this world. It is. Trust me. We know that the culture moves everything. And when you're from the culture, you set the tone. It's just that people got a hard time. They got to catch up, and they're just late.
Fact.
Big fact.